Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are going to take a look at headers in inline input grids. Input grids are table controls where users can enter data in a cell grid consisting of any number of columns. The headers of a grid control will indicate what type of data needs to be entered into each column. Let's take a look at how you can modify the headers of an input grid on an example. Here we have an order entry application that contains an inline input grid for selecting item types and counts to calculate the order totals. If your data contains headers in the table name range, make sure that the has header option is enabled. If this option is disabled, the first row in the name range will also be considered input cells. In our example, the table name range we are using for this grid is from B10 to E20, and this name range is called orders. This particular table name range contains the header names, so we must enable this option for the sake of consistency. Hide header toggle can be used to show or display headers in the input grid. If your name range contains headers, but you don't want to display them on the grid, enable this option. You can change the header of each column by clicking that column under the table name range columns, and then changing the title property. For example, we can change the header of the first column to item type to make it more obvious what this selection is for. Remember to press the submit button when you're done. Now let's do a preview and see our changes. Next, we're going to take a look at a dynamic approach. Let's assume that you want to use formulas in the grid headers and want to make them show different results based on other calculations. For example, we can add a formula into the item type column to make this field show the customer name in there. To do this, we're going to need to use a workaround by disabling the headers and locking the first row of the table. We begin by creating a helper column containing Boolean values, which we're going to use to disable the first row and allow editing the rest of the rows in the table. We want the very first row to be blocked and the rest of these rows editable. For the first row, we do false, and for the rest of them, we do true. Also remember to update your table name range accordingly to include the helper column. After uploading our file, we need to disable has header and enable hide header options. Pressing regenerate columns will update our table, and now we can set editability rules to make our headers locked. For this, we need to go to column E, which was our helper column, make sure that the mask type is set to Boolean, and enable the option enable row editability by value. We also don't want to see this field in our grid, so we're going to switch visible in the grid to never. Let's do another preview and see how the dynamic headers work.